to say Wembley is the worst place to lose, and it's not really a great place to do your post-match analysis after a defeat either, to be honest, but I do think it would be much harder to take if we just watch Liverpool's get their hearts broken or, not get what they deserved in the end. And there's just no two ways about it today in this Carabao Cup final. Liverpool absolutely deserved to be beaten by Newcastle. Obviously going down to a 2-1 defeat there, and as I say, pretty much dominated from minute one by a Newcastle side who just snapped into absolutely everything. They covered every blade of grass, and just a fantastic performance from them. And Liverpool well below the level that we've become accustomed to this season, and that is the reason that they're coming away from Wembley without a trophy to show from it. Now, in terms of that Newcastle domination, I think the stats really spell out how on top they were across this game. And you look at the numbers: Liverpool 7 shots, Newcastle 17, Liverpool 2 shots on target, Newcastle 6, and then expected goals 0.89 for Liverpool, 1.84 for Newcastle. Like I say, just on top from minute one. You had concerns literally in the first 5 minutes with the way that Newcastle sprung out of the traps and just looked physically better. They looked really up for it, and Liverpool kind of just couldn't get the football going. And as I say, that first 5 minutes you kind of saw the pattern of the game and how it was going to go, which was Newcastle nicking the ball off Liverpool, not really looking threatened at the back and looking threatening every time they go forward, and it really helped them as well. And I have to say this, it's not something Liverpool supporters will maybe want to acknowledge, but I thought those Geordie fans who were just over my shoulder there, just on the way out now after celebrating the cup win, I thought they were fantastic as well in terms of roaring on their team and giving that little bit of extra motivation they needed to leave everything on the field, really, which is what they saw today. Like I say, I don't think analysis gets any more kind of rudimentary than this, and I'm sure there are much deeper reasons that Arne Slot will go into, but it really did just seem it seemed to me like today was just a case of one side wanting it a lot more than the other. And you do wonder what effect does it have that Liverpool are coming into this knowing that they're going for a third Carabao Cup title in 4 years, and the fact that Newcastle, what is on the line for them is ending a 70-year trophy drought, having these special moments with these supporters who brought them on, and also the fact they've got a very good team that is capable of ending that trophy drought. You have to acknowledge they're a very good side, but you combine having quality players, which Newcastle do, with maybe just wanting it that little bit extra, and I think that really can have a telling effect on the game. As I say, it's a very basic thing to say, but it did just feel like that today. And again, I think the statistics kind of bear out that theory, really. I mean, you look at the duels there, 51-1 for Newcastle, 38-1 for Liverpool. So Newcastle edging the majority of the 50-50 battles across the pitch, which, if you're in this type of game where it's scrappy, it's a final, you want to stop your opposition playing football as much as possible and try and play yours in little moments. If you can win your duels across the pitch, then it gives you a far better basis to kind of go and win those games. And I just didn't think it was there from Liverpool. Whether that is down to motivation, the tiredness of a long season, it's really difficult to say. But I think the one thing you can say for certain is that Newcastle were willing to leave blood, sweat and tears on the pitch today to get over the line, and I just didn't quite get that vibe from Liverpool. Second best in most areas. And as I say, that's the reason these players are leaving without a winner's medal. And I think the important thing for Liverpool now is you've got to sometimes take these defeats on the chin. And I mean, it's 2 disappointing defeats back to back now, isn't it? Obviously going out in the Champions League and seeing that elite level and where they're just a little bit short. I think in this game again spelled out areas for improvement and things that the lessons that they've got to take into this summer and into next season. And I think one of the big lessons really relates to what I was saying about the duels and the inability to win those in the game. And for me, it kind of spelled out again that Liverpool need to add some physicality to this side in the summer. It's something I spoke about actually after the draw at Goodison Park earlier this season, if you want to go back and watch that video. And now, of course, the difference there with Everton were hitting long diagonals. They were just trying to turn the game into 50-50s again all over the pitch, and trying to do that in the final third, or Liverpool's final third, just to make it difficult for Liverpool to clear the ball, to cope, to be able to fully be in control of the situation. Now Newcastle are a much better side than Everton. They play in a very different way, but again I think that lack of physicality came to the fore, because it just seemed like they weren't going long. They were trying to play through and play on the counter. They've got that great counter-attacking threat and pace, but every time there's a 50-50 in that midfield area, Liverpool seem to come off second best. The set-piece goal that Dan Burn scores again, that is just someone monstrous in size getting up and winning a header, and a brilliant header, by the way. But again, it just spelled out lack of physicality, or the difference in physicality between the two teams. And again, I think it's spelled out in the numbers here. 68% of the aerial duels contested in this match, Newcastle won. Now, you can look at their team. It's not just Dan Burn. They've got physical monsters all over the pitch who can make a difference in those moments, and set piece goals are very, very important. So that's one of them. But also, as I say, just in the centre of the park, they were hoovering up balls. They were winning things. And I think it was also not just an issue for Liverpool in terms of defending things, but also in terms of their attack as well, because when you're coming up against a Newcastle side who are going to press you as aggressively as they did, that will cause you issues in terms of passing out from the back. And so what Liverpool had to do, and what had to resort to, is just smack the ball up the pitch, hope you can win it from there, and then you start your attack. Now, that was something they were very, very good at, I felt, under Jurgen Klopp, is turning dirty possession into something they could turn into more. And yes, they got unbelievable quality up there, but they were very good at winning first and second balls in the attacking phase, and then showing how good they were on the ball. But they just weren't able to do that. I mean, you look at the starting front three today. Mo Salah is not going to win aerial duels. That's absolutely fine. We know he's good at other things. Then beyond that, of course, Luis Diaz, he's not really capable in that regard. And then also Diogo Jota, again, his physical deficits there really spelled out again today, in that he was just kind of eaten up by the Newcastle defence. And I think it was a very similar thing against PSG for him. And again, I've spoken in the past about that need to kind of add centre forward, but I just thought it was an attack-wide lack of physicality, similar kind of issues in midfield and maybe in defence as well at times. So I just think that is really an area that Liverpool need to address. And just to kind of find the final bit on this point is that you look at the duels count in this game, and Bruno Guimaraes, who I thought was excellent today, won 9 duels. Liverpool's entire midfield won only 8 across the match. So if that does not show you that they need to add some more physicality and some more legs to this team in the summer, then I don't know what will. Now, another thing that I think is a big issue coming into this summer, that again I thought was a theme of today's game for me, was Trent Alexander-Arnold, and just how much Liverpool miss him. Now, I know I get comments on this channel quite a lot, comments on social media, so if he's had an iffy game defensively, with people saying Liverpool won't miss him at all if he does choose to go to Real Madrid. But I just don't think it could be spelled out more than it was today, just how important he is to this Liverpool team. Now, I said that Newcastle were a side who were pressing them, using their physicality, covering every blade and making it difficult for Liverpool to move the ball through central areas. And Liverpool tend to have a bit of a kind of cheat code at right back there, in terms of one of the best ball progressors in the world, but he plays as a fullback. And I just thought as they were getting pressed, they looked so uncomfortable on the ball, weren't able to get the ball consistently into the attacking areas, and when they got there, maybe didn't have as much threat as we used to. How good would it have been to have Trent Alexander-Arnold there, playing the ball through the lines, getting the crosses in from out wide, instead of a Jarell Quansah there, who of course is more of a centre half. And I think, like I say, I just think it's something that Liverpool are going to have to address if Trent does go to Real Madrid, and that is still up in the air at the moment. They're going to have to find another way of progressing the ball up the pitch, whether that is tweaking how the midfield works, what they do in attack, or trying to find a fullback who can do similar things, although I imagine that is impossible because he's pretty much a one-off in world football. But it absolutely has to be a consideration for the summer, because for me, they really, really did miss Trent Alexander-Arnold today, and he would have made a big difference. And just one more point I want to speak about, really. I usually go into players, don't I, in these, but there weren't many good Liverpool performances today, you have to say. But I think as a final point, really, is a bit of a theme of the match, and maybe this week, I think it's been shown to us really that Arne Slot has surely got to rotate a little bit more going into next season. Would Liverpool have lost as many battles across the pitch as they did today had this game been played earlier in the season? Is it just a lack of physicality, or is it a little bit a lack of legs, and Liverpool suffering from these players having put in so much over the course of this season, really? And they did seem short of legs in extra time against PSG. They've come here and looked short of legs again. I just think it's something that Slot really has to think about. I mean, he's spoken, hasn't he, about the new Champions League format, the fact that finishing top didn't really do Liverpool any favours. So does that mean you can take your foot off the gas a little bit earlier next season if you can get a few games won? Does it mean there are games where he's going to look to rotate a little bit more? I would hope so, because for me that has been a little bit of an Achilles heel for Slot in his first season. I think this squad is big, and it's certainly good enough to win the Premier League, as I think we're seeing proven here. But I think to go deep in multiple competitions, as Liverpool have in reaching the final here, progressing in the Champions League, and of course going so far in terms of winning the Premier League, I think he's got to have more players who he trusts in his squad next season, and also beyond that, he's got to use them. Maybe he could have trusted his squad more this season. I think we saw from Chiesa's cameo, he could have maybe been a bit more useful in games. I thought Harvey Elliott gave Liverpool a bit more incision when he came on as well. So is it a case of just needing more trust, or is it about he needs players who he is completely convinced can come in? Will we see more rotation from him then? Or is this just a Slot habit where he doesn't like to do it? I think that's one of the lessons we're going to learn next season, isn't it? In the early stages of next season, whether he'll change, and it's just about the personnel and his lack of trust in them, because I just don't think he can continue in his current form, really, of moving forward with only 14, 15 players playing every game, because I do think that has hurt Liverpool a little bit in this period of the season, and certainly did today for me. Now, of course, I don't ever really like to end on negatives, and I do want to try and find a positive for Liverpool. And I think one of the big ones, of course, is that yes, this is disappointing in the Champions League, disappointing not to win the Carabao Cup again, because we're so used to Liverpool coming here and doing it. But I think there are a lot of positives to Liverpool to seize on. I mean, I've had a few comments already on social media suggesting that Liverpool are going to throw the league title away from here. Let me just put this on record now. That is not going to happen from 12 points clear with just 9 games remaining, not least because Arsenal aren't very good as a starting point, but also because Liverpool will win more games this season. They're absolutely fine. And some of the suggestions of being kind of Liverpool are bottlers or whatever, and they're going to bottle this league, I think it says more about the bottle and the mentality of some of the supporters saying that they think a 12-point lead with 9 games remaining can be squandered, particularly by this side who weren't at the best today, weren't at the best against PSG, but are so much better than to squander a lead like that. So I wouldn't be worried about that. And look, at the end of the day, if Liverpool do go and win the title, the idea that we'll be saying at the end of Slot's first season it's only a Premier League title is laughable to me. I said at the start of the season I thought a top 4 finish and maybe a trophy like this would have been a really good season for Slot. What we're seeing instead, he's going to go and win the Premier League, and that's massive. And if you don't think that's an impressive achievement, maybe go back and look at some of the pundits' predictions for this season, where they thought also that Liverpool were going to finish, how they thought Slot would get on in his first season, and it wasn't winning a Premier League title, that's for certain. So you've got to kind of seize onto that as a major positive, and something that nobody expected of Liverpool. And you'll never ever say that it's just the league title, because league titles, Liverpool haven't won enough of them in recent years, and so to get another is absolutely massive. But of course it is very, very important now to take lessons from this week as a whole, really, about what where the improvements can be made, how Slot can truly put his stamp on the squad, and then there's every chance that Liverpool can be better next season, which is very, very exciting, because for the majority of the season, this disappointing week aside, they have been very, very good. So excited to see what they do in the summer, excited to see what lessons they take, and I think there are plenty of them. But as I say, I don't think anybody should be too disappointed with just the Premier League title this season. So I'm going to wrap it up there anyway. Do let me know what you feel in the comments. Like I say, maybe try and keep it slightly upbeat. I think there's maybe, as I say, there's been some crazy shouts about not winning the league title on my social media already. I don't really want to see that stuff, because I think it's absolute nonsense as well. Liverpool will win the league title, they just won't win the Carabao Cup or the Champions League, unfortunately. But as I say, let me know in the comments what you think. If you can drop a like and a subscribe, that's always massively appreciated. And we're going to get a little break now, so I'm going to try and fill it with some videos before that Everton game comes around. But it is nice to have a little break from the madness, particularly descending on a disappointing note here. But of course, I will be back soon for the build-up to Everton, anything in between. I'll see you guys very soon.